Eukaryotic cell structure, AQA Biology. Key terms. The cell. The cell is the smallest unit that is capable of performing life functions. Eukaryotic cell. Well, a eukaryotic cell contains membrane-bound organelles. Biology units. Now, there are three main units that you need to know in biology: millimeters, micrometers, and nanometers. 1 nanometer is 1,000 micrometers. 1,000 micrometers is 1 millimeter. So when you're working out from millimeters to micrometers, you would times by 1,000. When you're working out from micrometers to nanometers, you times by 1,000. If you're trying to work out from nanometers to micrometers, then you divide by 1,000. If you're trying to work out from micrometers to millimeters, then you divide by 1,000. The nucleus. Now this is what the structure of the nucleus looks like. It has a nuclear envelope, which is a double membrane. It has nuclear pores, which allow the passage of large molecules. Nucleoplasm, which is a bit like the cytoplasm, but it's in the nucleus, as it has a jelly substance that contains all of the nucleus organelles. It has chromosomes, which consist of protein-bound linear DNA. You have nucleotides, which are small spherical regions or fractures of RNA. And it contains DNA and is the site for DNA replication. DNA usually exists as chromatin. The nucleus also controls the activities of the cells and manufactures RNA and ribosomes. The mitochondria. This is the structure of the mitochondria. It has a double membrane and the inner one is folded to form cristae. Cristae is the extension of the inner membrane to form a larger surface area. It provides energy for the cell and is the site of respiration. Chloroplast. This is the structure of a chloroplast, and it has a double membrane, and the inner membrane is folded to form a thylakoid membrane, which increases the surface area. And this is where photosynthesis occurs. It also contains grana, which are disc-like structures called thylakoids, and these contain chlorophylls. You have the stroma, which is a fluid matrix where the second stage of photosynthesis takes place, and it contains both DNA and ribosomes, which quickly manufacture proteins for photosynthesis. Which stands for endoplasmic reticulum. Now this is endoplasmic reticulum, and you have rough and you have smooth Rough has ribosomes attached to it, which provides a larger surface area for protein synthesis and the synthesis of glycoproteins, and it provides a pathway for the transport of materials, especially proteins, throughout the cell. Smooth synthesizes lipids, stores and transports lipids. It synthesizes, stores and transports carbohydrates, and a blow filled with fluid which transports substances around the cell. The Golgi body, also known as the Golgi apparatus. It appears as flattened sacs that produce vesicles and is the processing department of the cell. The way how I recognize it in a cell is that it looks like but it has the small little bubbles that are located around here and here, and that's how you can tell it apart. Now, It produces smooth and rough ER and adds carbohydrates to proteins to form glycoproteins. It produces secretory enzymes and secretes carbohydrates. It transports, modifies, and stores lipids and forms lysosomes. Lysosomes. This is the structure of a lysosome, and it contains enzymes that are able to break down the components of the cell. It completely breaks down the cell after apoptosis and releases enzymes outside of the cell to destroy materials around it. It hydrolyzes material ingested by phagocytes, such as white blood cells and bacteria. Ribosomes. Now, ribosomes are floated in the cytoplasm and are attached to the ER. It's the site where proteins are synthesized and has two subunits. It has the small subunit, which would be this area, and then the heavy subunit, which would be the larger area. Yes, man, no, my circles are very big. I'm getting used to this whole drawing on the PowerPoint thing. Um, and that's all there is for ribosomes. It's pretty small. You get more onto it in protein synthesis. Cell wall. It consists of cellulose and has a supportive structure, and it also stops the cell from bursting. This is a pretty short and sweet structure, if I do say so myself. Vacuoles. They are a fluid-filled sac bound by a membrane and contains water, pigment, and waste. Mature plants have a large vacuole. Turgid vacuoles provide support. Sugars and amino acids act as a temporary food source that are located inside the vacuole. Membrane. The plasma membrane controls entry and exit of substances in and out of the cell. It's a phospholipid bilayer and has proteins embedded in it. It's also known as the fluid mosaic structure. And I don't want to go into this in too much detail because in my cell transport video, I'll be talking a lot about membrane structure and why it's the way it is and why this is good for its structure. So I don't want to have to repeat myself. Prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells have no nucleus, and an example of one is bacteria. Now, what are the differences between eukaryotic, prokaryotic, and viruses? Well, eukaryotic are membrane-bound organelles. They have a nucleus, ribosomes. Prokaryotic have a plasmid, a slime capsule, and a flagella, and a virus has genetic material, a capsid, and attachment proteins. Now, thank you for listening and watching this video. The next video will be about cell replication processes.